Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen a shirt? Have you seen a shirt or a hat? Have you seen a shirt or a hat or a bumper sticker? You might have seen a bumper sticker, maybe. But have you seen a shirt or a hat of somebody wearing the former vice president's campaign proudly? Have you seen some kind of enthusiasm? Have you seen some kind of belief that this candidate is somebody Democrats really want? How many Biden hats have you seen? Shirts have you seen? I was the only one on YouTube wearing one. The point is, there's zero enthusiasm. That's one of the polls. So President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, has had an edge in terms of enthusiasm in every single poll. These are the polls they worship. A very interesting poll. Who do you think your neighbor will vote for? President Trump won that poll also. Okay. Then there was another poll. These are polls that involve sentiment. Okay, these are polls that talk about sentiment. These are polls that measure enthusiasm, sentiment, in terms of, who your neighbor will vote for. Who do you think's going to win? In terms of who do you think's going to win, everyone says President Trump, or the polls say most Americans believe Trump is going to win. That's because he will. By the way, to Eric H526 and Luke St. Martin, thank you very, very much for being the best moderators in all of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at election day. President Trump is almost about to be reelected. So Eric and Luke, thank you so very much. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, but I do have a group of amazing viewers. I only have like 150,000 sub channel, but everyone here makes it like, punch above its weight. So I want to thank you very, very much. But have you seen a hat? Have you seen a shirt? Have you seen a sweater? No, you haven't. No, you haven't. There's no enthusiasm for this man. I can't believe Democrats would go with somebody who has absolutely zero enthusiasm, a person who has never ever come close to becoming president. Usually they'll go with somebody who's become close to being a president. So usually they'll say, okay, well, this person tried so and failed, but you know what? They'll try. Reagan ran a bunch of times. Nixon ran a bunch of times. So you would think they would go with somebody with some enthusiasm. In the polls that they worship, where Biden is up 16 points over Trump, in every one of those polls, the enthusiasm gap exists. Then there was the poll recently that said, who do you think your neighbor will vote for? President Trump won that one. Okay. Then there's, who do you think will win? Most Americans say Trump. Then there was the poll, are you better off? 56% of Americans, I believe, said they're better off. They're better off. And now you have a very interesting poll and this is the Washington Examiner. This is a YouGov poll. And it's like when people say, well, so the polls are okay when they favor Trump. Yeah, because the reality is that there's a great deal more support for President Trump. Okay, reality exists independent of any polls. Reality exists independent of any numbers that you read. The fact is that people like he's going to win re-election, but there's a great many people who there are a great many people who support President Trump, but can't tell you or can't tell the world because they're afraid of retribution from deranged, disgruntled, angry, maniacal, hysterical, apoplectic liberals. The same people who walk around with a halo, like Democrats walk around as if they had like wings of an angel and a halo, while at the same time acting like the most nefarious, like disingenuous, dishonest, angry people. But here, this is interesting. Washington Examiner. More voters think Hunter engaged in. So more voters think the vice president's son engaged in corruption. Washington Examiner YouGov poll. Okay. And if you have the majority of Americans feeling that there's been a tremendous amount of corruption, Pilgrim Media, H.A. Bennett dropped some bombs. Yeah, it's true. That's true. We'll get to that in a little bit. Pilgrim Media. There's so many things. Pilgrim Media, thank you. There's so many things. There's so many things that that are happening right now, and media can't cover up. They can't cover what's taking place. So a plurality of voters believe that that the vice president's son engaged in corrupt business dealings. According to a new poll, Washington Examiner YouGov poll found that 45% of respondents believe the vice president's son has engaged in business corruption, while 32% believe he has not. Now, think of this for a second. 45%, and media is literally not covering it. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because they know what's about to take place. They are so inept that they picked they picked even Clinton. Let's just assume she doesn't last second take it from Biden, like I've been saying. I've also been saying that Trump is going to go 8 years. He's going to go 8 years, and I've been saying this for 4 years, and I started saying this in 2016, the day he won in November. So, 39% saying it was not all that important. 32% saying it's very important. Well, imagine if they treated this story the way they treated the dossier. Imagine if they treated that story the way they treated the dossier. Imagine. Thank you, RW. Thank you. Zoltan, hello. Imagine if they treated that story the way they treated. Imagine if they treated the story of today with the former vice president's son the way they treated an unverified document that Clinton literally purchased. Literally purchased. And this is the difference, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to show you this. Okay, this is Associated Press, raw video, kiss cam catches President Obama, 6.8 million views. I mean, Trump couldn't even go, like if he went to a McDonald's and got a cheeseburger, it would be like, oh my God, the vice president has slaughtered more animals to feed his addiction. The president of the United States, in a cowardly attempt at consuming living things, invaded a McDonald's today. But this is the difference. He's sitting with Botox B. This is 8 years. This is 2012, and hold on. The kiss cam. Okay, so he's with his wife, and I think oh my God, everyone's so happy. So the president is at he was watching a U.S. Olympic basketball team in 2012, And then the camera, it's like, the kiss camera. So it's like, you get a couple and you find a couple and they're supposed to kiss for the crowd, which is fantastic. But they would never do that for President Trump. So this is what I mean. Like, they would never do that. They would never do that. Yankin bass on grass. He pulled advertising in Florida and dumped it in Minnesota. Trump campaign knows they've won Florida. Exactly. And they know that they can win Minnesota. Yankin bass on grass. Thank you so very, very much. Ted, thank you so much, Ted. Yankin bass on grass, one of the great names on, or it could be Yankin bass on grass. But I'm just going to go Yankin bass on grass. I agree with you 100%. And it's not, believe me, they've won Florida. They know they've won Florida. The Latino outreach for the Democratic Party wrote a letter saying Biden is suppressing the Hispanic vote. Okay? And Bernie Sanders did the Democratic Party no favors when he, I forget exactly what he said. He didn't really praise Castro because that's what media does. I think maybe he said something positive about Fidel Castro. And you have a great many people from Latin America who have fled countries within that region of the world because of the horrors associated with socialism. That's just the case. There are people who love socialism, but they would never live in a socialist country or a country that like you just never see people actually saying, I want to live in these countries. Or a socialist country I'm talking about. They say socialism, capitalism's horrible. Okay, well, you live in a capitalist society. You can actually, if you want to, you could move to a society that you think is more just and equitable. So, that I'm not telling people that they should do something. I'm saying if you truly believe that that the economy or that the political system is better in a place like Cuba and a place like in other regions of the world, then you can do that. You can go and see if life is better there. Because there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, socialism is fantastic." Well, okay, then why don't you live that life? I'm not saying you have to. You need to. This is not a philosophical or intellectual argument. This is kind of like, well, if you're saying it's so wonderful, why don't you try it out? Why don't you try it out? Then there's the excuses. Well, the U.S. wouldn't allow it to prosper, and the U.S. did this in Venezuela. And it's like, well, before President Trump was even in office, you had, 1,000% inflation, or a couple 1,000% inflation, something horrendous like that. But you have this, and so Florida, the Latino vote, President Trump is going to get a lot more of the Latino vote than he did last. The Latino and Hispanic voters of this country are going to give President Trump the win. They're going to give President Trump the win. African American and black voters as well. In 2016, Venezuela entered hyperinflation, 274% inflation. It's not Trump's fault, and it's not the fault of capitalism. It's the fault of the economic system called socialism. 274% inflation. How is that? How is that a success? And they say, well, it was President Trump, or what was it? The United States did this and that. It's like, well, what does that have to do with a functioning economy? What here? So okay, let's see. Inflation. In 2015, it was 181% inflation. So in 2015, Venezuela had 181% inflation. In 2016, it had 274% inflation. Is there anything associated with how officials in that country ran the economy? These are questions the left never asks. These are questions the left never asks. Let's see. 68% inflation in 2014. Okay. And it had the highest inflation rate in all of Latin America. I think by far. So the point is, it's not, look, I'm not, what I'm asking is, if you, I'm getting lost in the weeds here, but there are people who say, no, we don't want this. We don't want what, Bernie Sanders is not really a socialist, okay? He's a democratic socialist, which is another word for Democrat. But if you praise Fidel Castro after not only economic hardship, but also the political atrocities and hardship that Cuban Americans had to deal with, and that other Venezuelans and other people had to, Venezuelan Americans and other ethnicities and other Latinos had to deal with, then they're not going. Then people aren't going to vote for a political party that even tries to associate itself at all with socialism. And if you were expecting to win Florida, you cannot win Florida without the Latino vote. And there was an internal memo saying that President Trump, that Biden was suppressing the Latino vote. So Pilgrim Media yanking bass on grass. But I mean, getting back to raw kiss video, kiss cam catches Obama. So it's like, could you imagine this taking place with President Trump? I mean, you have, like, this is the Associated Press. You have other Associated Press, and you have Reuters. Okay, here, President Obama makes surprise visit to a restaurant. This is in 2012. Nobody would ever cheer for President Trump making a visit anywhere. Even if he made a visit to, like, any place in Ohio or Florida or Nebraska, or where people would be like, oh my God, it's the president, you know? The media would be like, oh my God, look at Trump. He's overweight, and he's consuming more calories. This man is irresponsible. Vote no on Trump. They just would spin everything. But you're not going to, you cannot win Florida without the Latino vote. And Biden was always doing worse among Latino voters, and always doing worse among Black and African American voters compared to Clinton. He's doing worse than Clinton. So how on earth are you going to win the election? And polls that talk about sentiments like enthusiasm, or who your neighbors are voting for, or who do you think will win, or are you better off? Those are more accurate. Those are more accurate than who you vote for 3 months from now, or 2 months from now, or 1 week from now. Especially when you don't look. The poll that really matters right now is, do you think the vice president's son and the vice president sold themselves for money? They literally sold themselves for money. There's a word for that. And that occupation is a lot more honorable than the vice presidency that forces out prosecutors. Oh, yeah, I know, is for corruption. They spin everything. The media spins everything. It's unbelievable. They are saying that he was speaking to George Lopez when he said 4 more years of George W. Bush. He was referring to George W. Bush. My God almighty. It's unbelievable. My God almighty, it's unbelievable. They're so unable. They're so unable to deal with reality. Their inability to deal with reality will be the reason they lose this coming Tuesday, less than a week away. We are less than a week away from retribution for 4 years. And I was thinking today, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I know about 6 people. Well, let's put it this way. I know a lot of people, more than 6, but who have let this election of the past 4 years consume them. Okay? To the point where there was no issue on my part ever, to the point where they've put politics above friendship or above family bonds or whatever. And it's interesting I was thinking this morning, I was saying, okay, what's going to happen to the Trump derangement people? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to realize that they've been wrong, or that they've been not wrong? Because you know what, you can disagree with Trump on policies, that's fine, but they've been wrong about their hysterical, fanatical, apoplectic view of how Trump is going to end humanity. Like, will they realize their hyperbole and their absurd arguments pertaining to Trump were always just that, absurd and just pure hyperbole? Or will they double down? Will they say, okay, but Bush, W. Bush won twice, and look what happened at the end of his presidency? It's like, well, so did Reagan won twice. Look what happened at the end of his presidency. He had Herbert Walker Bush. So are they going to double down, or are they going to admit that they've been completely off the rails, or are they going to double down? Anita Sumter, thank you. Anita Sumter, thank you. Zoltan, hello. I understand. I know how. Exactly. I know exactly how you feel. Zoltan. They don't like too far left. They don't like too far conservative. They like only. They like only their own. Only their own viewpoint. Pilgrim Medium, my brother in Cali, threatened me out of the blue. I can't. If the word is threatened, that's horrible. I couldn't read. It says threatened. I think it says threatened. That's horrible. That's horrible. I understand. I know. Let's put it this way. I understand what. I understand that people are that's why I play it very safe, and I'm very careful, and I know who to trust now and who not to trust. You know, with family, with family and close friends, you have to forgive, or at least you can try to forgive eventually once the psychosis, because this is, Pilgrim Media and Zoltan, everybody here. Anita, thank you so very much, by the way. Anita Sumter, thank you. Anita, thank you for watching. Please be here. November 3rd. It's going to be fantastic. But you have to, this is like a psychosis that's taking place. It really is. It's like this mass delusion, and it has nothing to do with Trump. This is like a hallucination or some kind of. This is a hypnosis on the left. It's not They say that Trump voters are hypnotized. It's like, no, actually his policies are pretty good. His policies are good policies. And you know what? His personality is needed in this day and age. Not all of his personality. There are things that President Trump has said that I wish he didn't say. Because media would take those things and then create this world around things that he didn't say or things that they assume he said, or just try to create this narrative that shouldn't exist pertaining to Trump. In 2015, President Trump shouldn't have said a very broad and crude statement pertaining to undocumented immigrants. But he did, and within that actual quote, he said, well, not all, and he wasn't even talking about all immigrants. He was like, well, not, I'm not referring to everyone. He was trying to make what he was trying to convey, he shouldn't have conveyed in that manner. But other than getting into it with, I think that, just the next 4 years, don't get into it with celebrities. I don't think that President Trump should have said the SOB comment, but, and he wasn't talking about all people of an ethnicity and he never, this is the thing with Trump, when he focuses on a certain group, a specific group, or a specific person, he doesn't focus on everyone, or a specific individuals within a group of people, or a specific politician, or a specific actor, or a specific athlete. He's not talking about everyone or all of one, group of people. The left gets away with everything. When Biden said, when he told Charlemagne the God, you ain't black if you don't vote for him, immediately there was damage control. Immediately there were articles from the Washington Post. Well, Trump is worse. Trump is worse. And oh my God. Anita Sumter, thank you. Pilgrim Media, God bless you. Thank you. William Holloway, that's right. Dodgers win. 6 days to stop the spread. Exactly. Mazel tov on a leg. Thank you so very much, William. It'll be a mazel tov for everybody. Thank you so very much. The Dodgers win the World Series. A Republican wins the White House. Exactly, William. Thank you so much, William. Thank you. Thank you, William. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. G&G. Thank you, G&G. Thank you so much to my viewers in Canada. Thank you. I think that the way he reacts to the intelligence operatives, intelligence community, the establishment, Hollywood in general, political adversaries in general is a very good thing. I think that media, if you've been a Bernie Sanders supporter, G&G, William Holloway, thank you. Pilgrim Media, Anita Sumter, Yankin Bass on Grass, Pilgrim Media, thank you. If you've been a Bernie Sanders supporter, you realize, that when media converges on somebody, they will do everything they can to destroy that person. They will do everything they can to take a person's quotes out of context, to try to disparage the person. I saw it on a very, very small scale when I was on the left. I got hit pieces, Daily Beast, Raw Story, all because I was on the left. Not because I was a Trump supporter, because I was a Bernie Sanders supporter. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. My website's coming out soon. If you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. They went after Bernie Sanders. They went after Bernie Sanders with a passion, and he folded. He folded quickly, like a cheap suit. He folded. And now they have AOC, who's absolutely brilliant. who funnels votes back into the Democratic Party, knowing very well they're not going to pass a Medicare for all bill. They're not going to. If you thought that climate change was an existential threat, why would you buy beachfront property? Why would you? I'm not. That is not. The left just rolls their eyes and laughs at that. But it's true. The Hamptons should be underwater. Maybe next month they will be, or a year, or 2 years, or 10 years. They say, well, that's mitigating the existential threat. That's mitigating the existential threat of what's going on. I'm not mitigating anything. I agree. Climate change is a serious, serious issue. Is it an existential threat if the liberals, the wealthy liberals who run the Democratic Party, the wealthy liberals who look like Hunter Biden and his father, the heart and the money within the Democratic Party is located in the Hamptons or perhaps other beachside locations. Why don't they sell their homes? I'm not being facetious. I'm being facetious, but I'm saying they use the word existential. They don't give you a time frame. So it is an existential crisis, but 1,000 years, 500 years, 200 years, 100 years, they're not leaving beachside properties. So therefore, they don't think that next month the sea levels will rise. They don't think that next year or 20 years from now or 30 years from now the sea levels will rise. They don't even think that if 70 years from now the sea levels will rise. Would you buy a $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 million home if you thought that 70 years from now the home would be underwater? No, you wouldn't. So they don't take the word existential. Their rhetoric never correlates. Medicare for all is another example. So when President Obama buys, and God bless him, he should buy beachfront property. It's great. But then he talks about the seriousness of climate change. Well, which one is it? It's serious, yes, but is it an existential threat? You know what an existential threat is? An existential threat is nuclear conflict, a nuclear confrontation, which could end humanity tomorrow. End humanity. End. Meaning tomorrow, end. Meaning tomorrow, we're all glowing and there's no more humanity. That's an existential threat. And you get that from a no-fly zone above Damascus, which is what Democrats and Madam Secretary wanted because they're geniuses. Justin Mooney! You need to watch the Joe Rogan interview with Glenn Greenwald. They sound just like you. Also, he plans to have an election night party with... That's good. That's good. That'll be good. My respect level for one of them will go up. I'm talking not Joe Rogan. I'm talking about Kalinsky or Alex Jones. Justin Mooney, thank you. If that's true, oh my God, the left made such a big deal about being in the same presence, even in the same vicinity as anyone who's a hardcore conservative, and well, whatever. We'll see what goes on. But I love Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan is fantastic. I have a great deal of respect for Glenn Greenwald. I don't agree with Glenn Greenwald on issues like Israel or some other issues, but I think he's fantastic. I probably don't agree with him on a number of issues, but I agree with him on a great many, and I think he's absolutely fantastic. Glenn Greenwald, Tim Pool, these are real journalists. He's a real journalist. If the corruption was really more centered towards Trump, they would both call out that corruption. like meaning they would focus primarily on Trump. But you see former lefties like myself focusing more on the Democratic Party because that's where media, if you have media covering up massive corruption, A, you can get away with more, and B, the massive corruption doesn't get exposed, doesn't get addressed. So, but yeah, I love Joe Rogan. I think he's fantastic. Glenn Greenwald is a true journalist. Tim Pool is a true journalist. I mean, there's some. Ian Miles Chong is fantastic. Andy Ngo is fantastic. Those gentlemen are true journalists as well, and they actually report on the reality of things, while media says, well, it's not happening. Everything's fine. If you don't care, look. If you don't care about being accepted within a Hollywood party, then you're my kind of person. If you need to be accepted if you're worried about your income or you're worried about your reputation pertaining to what a bunch of Hollywood people would think about you, that's all. These are all the hallmarks of a Trump derangement person. But it's like, most journalists have this need to be accepted by the left. That's why they're not really journalists. Their opinion, they're just, columnists, or they're writing an opinion under the guise of a report or a news story, an unbiased news story. Robert A., thank you so very much, Robert A. Thank you. HA, I remember when the first show I watched when Jill was trying to contest battleground states 4 years ago. You never skipped a beat. Great job. Thank you so very much, Robert A. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so very much. You've been with me for a long, long time, and I thank you so very much, Robert. You've been with me for a very, very long time, and I appreciate that. Like I say, Robert, I'm the Kevin McReynolds of YouTube. Kevin McReynolds, we got the World Series last night. Thank God the Dodgers won. Thank God the Dodgers won. Fantastic, fantastic game. Julio Urias was awesome. He's amazing. To close out that game in the manner he did, Urias was amazing. But yeah, I'm the Kevin McReynolds of YouTube, which is good. 24 homers, 98 ribbies, 285. That's good. Very good, very solid. But I have the Hall of Fame in terms of viewers. I know that sounds corny, but it's true. I have amazing, amazing viewers. Justin, Robert A., thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Robert, for being here for so long. Zoltan, thank you. Thank you, Zoltan. Jimmy Snickers, thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so very, very much. You look at what's taking place in Pilgrim Media, the president. I hope so. That would be amazing. He needs to do it like the second he's won. The second he's won. Little known fact about H.A. Badman. I was at the Bill Clinton inauguration, second term. I don't think people knew that. I was, lifelong Democrat. Lifelong Democrat. President Trump, if they try to continue with the apoplectic news coverage, see, the only thing that can really, Robert A. and Jimmy and Pilgrim Media and Justin and everybody here, William, Nicoletta, hello. What Trump needs to do, his administration needs to do, the country will not be able to move on without William Barr and John Durham actually doing their job, and the criminal behavior is right there. It's not, people didn't look. You're not going to get media to ever fully admit their treachery. You're never going to get the Democratic Party to admit anything. Media will slowly, ever so slowly, gravitate towards Trump. I don't think most of media. I think at least they'll be a little bit more objective. You have 92% negative media coverage, according to one estimate. 92%. But you cannot allow disgruntled and angry liberals to control the fate of the country, even after they lose twice. You can't do that. You can't have a functioning country with people who are scorned and perpetually indignant, perpetually scorned, vengeful. These are the most vengeful people. You're talking about people who are vengeful, scorned. You cannot have, you need to hold, if William Barr doesn't, and I'm a fan of William Barr, but if he doesn't hold all the people accountable who obviously set up Trump, like Trump was set up, the basis for all the hysteria was, okay, of the people I know who have major Trump derangement, none of them believe that Trump worked with Russia. But that served as the bedrock for all the other hysteria. Nobody believes. On the left, most of them don't believe that Trump worked with Russia or that Russia really had any influence at all in the 2016 election. But it's the bedrock, it's the foundation of all the hysteria. Because you had all the maniacal, hysterical, apoplectic news coverage regarding the Steele dossier and the Mueller probe. And so when they say, I just have a second appoint a special prosecutor. And I agree. But with a special counsel, I think that there's, you're going to need some kind of, they'll say that you'll need some kind of bipartisanship. See, the Paul Ryans of the world and the Mitt Romneys of the world, and they tried to do Trump in. You had a lot of the Richard Burrs of the world. You had a lot of Republicans. Well, you have Jeff Sessions. It's like you had a lot of Republicans pushing for that special counsel because they wanted to take out Trump also. It actually wasn't the Democrats. It was Jeff Sessions, people like Paul Ryan, people like Richard Burr. You had very high-ranking Republicans who wanted to take Trump out. So they tried their best to take Trump out. They tried their best to take him out. And that's why you got that special counsel. But see, I agree, there needs to be a special counsel. But also, you have probably a good percentage of the Justice Department, a good percentage of the intel agencies that are just you'd get I don't know how I think after an election loss, immediately after an election loss, is when William Barr and John Durham and President Trump's administration has to address the issue of people who committed crimes. It is a crime to set up and frame Michael Flynn and George Papadopoulos and Carter Page and President Trump. It's a crime. You can't simply hide behind protocol that there's no precedent for. There's no precedent for what took place. So therefore you can't say you're just doing your job and you're hiding behind your post. You need a precedent for this to take place. The intelligence community should have always remained hidden. These intelligence agencies should have always remained clandestine. They're clandestine and hidden and within the shadows for a reason. So the average American doesn't have to deal with them. And they're not that bright anyway. The whole point of having them is to protect us from threats outside of the United States. So we had $2 billion in property damage around the country. $2 billion, and media hasn't said a word. $2 billion. Media hasn't said a word. We have corruption beyond belief with the former vice president who went from $200,000 in monetary net worth, $200,000 to over 10 to 15 million. So you tell me how that's possible. Ebenezer! Sidney Powell for AG, exactly. You need to have people held accountable. And this is the only way. See, Democrats, this is kind of hilarious, but you know how you would people say, well, you know what? They only respect power. They only respect strength. You talk about an adversary in that manner. Democrats only respect political power. They respect political strength. They don't respect like Bernie Sanders. They despise Bernie Sanders. As they're using him and pummeling him and his voters and demeaning his voters and disparaging his voters. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the average Bernie voter has had to deal with the past 5 years? I mean, I abandoned ship. Are you kidding? I said, wait a second, if this man's not fighting for us, but also if the Democratic Party is blaming Russia for what they did to cheat Bernie Sanders, this is a really bad situation, in addition to everything else. But Democrats do not respect, they only respect a political side that can defeat them, or they could bring justice. So you're going to have the same. If the Trump administration does not, within the first 3 months of re-election, if they do not speed up the Durham probe and actually hold people accountable for the crimes they committed, because they committed crimes. You can't set up and frame an incoming president based on opposition research literally purchased by his direct political rival. Opposition research, by the way, that was completely fabricated and that was utilized. Okay, opposition research is political. It should never have been utilized by Brennan and Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Clapper. It's not even classified. Like when they declassified Brennan's notes and they declassified all the notes implicating President Obama and Biden, all of them, they were classified for a reason, because they were high-level communication. Steele dossier was not even classified. That's why James Comey's like, it's not even classified. Yeah, well, why did you use it? Why would you use something that's not even classified? Then media says, oh, it's unverified. It's unverified. And then when they asked BuzzFeed, well, we're going to let the people decide. Oh, okay, good. You let the people decide for an unverified Trump document, but with anything that you think is unverified, which really isn't, then you just hide and sweep under the rug. you have a whole lot of information that's absolutely sunk Democrats a week before the election. They are sunk. The polling industry should not exist after 2020. So that, aside from Trafalgar and Rasmussen, you have an Emerson poll that says Biden up 5. With an Economist poll that says he's up 11. You have an IBD poll that says Biden's up 5. And then you have a Rasmussen poll since Biden up 1. And the entire rotten edifice is coming crashing down. But see, this is also, if you know that your defense is giving up scores, if you know, let's just assume Trump is down, which he's not, because I've been saying for 4 years he's going to win. Let's assume that you're up 30 to 15. Okay? And it's 7 minutes left in the game. 30 to 15 is a pretty sizable lead. But what happens if you score another touchdown with 6 minutes? If the opponent scores another touchdown, it's 21-30 with 5 minutes left. You need one stop, okay? And then 2 scores, fine, but you need one stop, you score again, and then you score again. You've lost the game. You've lost the lead. You saw that with the Falcons and Patriots. Isn't there any cause for concern? Because Twitter isn't going to save you from the orange monster. You're going to have 4 more years of anger and resentment and scorn, and the world is collapsing, and your marriages are failing, and friendship. I mean, and it's not the person who votes for Trump, or it's not the person who doesn't care about politics. It's the person who can't believe that their political reality doesn't exist anymore. You had, and I'm going to talk about this when we win, you had 24 years prior to 2016. You had 24 years prior to 2016, people, of the same political party. Basically the same political party. You had 8 years of Bill Clinton, 8 years of George W. Bush, 8 years of President Obama. And people wanted a change. And when you say, well, they weren't the same political party, the Lincoln Project people represent the Bush years. And you still have the Clintons, and the Clintons and President Obama run the Democratic Party. If what I've been saying doesn't happen, then I will have to reevaluate the influence Madam Secretary has within the Democratic Party, which I still think is profound. But this man, Botox B, doesn't know where he is, so I have to wrap my brain around. I mean, did they tank the election on purpose? I don't think they would. Why would they? Or are they so corrupt that only Botox B, the exhumed body, could serve as the leader of such a decrepit, corrupt political party? Who knows? I don't know. I still have, but you know what? His polling lead is crumbling. And that, I'm not talking about Trafalgar. I'm not talking about Rasmussen, because Rasmussen is up 1. I'm talking about Emerson. Biden up 5. Biden up 5. The aggregate is not going to matter. If you have Biden up 35 and then Biden up 5, the Biden up 35 is a bunch of nonsense. The Biden up 5 still doesn't reflect reality, but within the margin of error, 3 to 4, whatever. He'll go in again, down 3.5, 3, 4, whatever. He'll win. And he'll win. Because it's about Florida and Ohio. The Electoral College is about Florida and Ohio, and then you have like a million different ways to win. He'll get Florida and Ohio. And then he needs if he wins Minnesota and Nevada, he doesn't need Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Do you understand? People don't understand this. It's just basic math. Take a calculator. It's basic math. 270 to win. Democrats don't get this. They're like, that's why they play this game. Oh, he's up nationally. He's up nationally. He's up. Who cares? For the past year, Democrats should have simply focused on the Electoral College. But see, you can't do that because Trump has always done well. In terms of the Electoral College, President Trump was always within striking distance. The Orange Menace was always within striking distance. So, Ebenezer Pilgrim, Pilgrim Media, thank you. Brad Kraunheiser, Hillary, keep up the good work, Brad. Thank you for 2024. Thank you very much, Brad. Thank you for sticking with the channel and always being here for so long. And thank you, Brad. Greatly appreciated. And please be here. November 3rd. It's fast approaching. And Robert A., thank you. Justin, thank you. Everyone here, thank you. It's fast approaching. And I don't get it. Like, I love sports, and it's like I was worried all last night. Just with a 2-run lead or a 1-run lead, I was worried all. Democrats don't seem to understand that Trump already defeated them. This is part of the psychosis, is this delusion, this amnesia. Like, they already lost. Why would they be so overconfident? I don't understand. I've always prided myself as being the Democratic whisperer, understanding the hysterical, apoplectic, irrational viewpoints of Democrats better than anyone. They're so maniacal, even I don't understand them. I don't get it. Why deliberately lose? Because if you're going with Botox B, you're deliberately losing. So I don't understand. I don't trust them. I'm still waiting for Madam Secretary to swoop in. I don't trust them. I don't know what's going on. Why would you deliberately lose? Because they deliberately tanked Bernie Sanders with Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren didn't think she would become president with failing her DNA test. Okay? And she did try to. This was a fact. Whatever, I'm not even going to get into it. She failed her DNA test, and that's it. You do the math on that. Who fails their DNA test? You pretty much can't fail it, but Elizabeth Warren. Then she lied about Bernie Sanders and said that he said something he didn't say, which is totally. They are now fabricating things. 2016, oh my God, warped their minds, and they're trying to replicate. They've tried to replicate everything, like everything that the DNC emails, the campaign emails, now they're inadvertently replicating the exact way they lost. How is it that you have the Federal Bureau of Investigation that has a computer, the computer owned by a deviant Democrat? Another degenerate owned the computer linked to Democratic corruption. Gee, what are the chances of that happening 2 straight elections? How about 1,000%? It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't get it. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. Whatever's left of my brain after covering the election. Brad, thank you. Dilly Raver. On November 3rd, the salt will flow again as it done in past years. Prepare yourself for the big red landslide. I hope. Listen, decisive. I think it's going to be decisive. Because they're going in like you have to make sure you have enough gas in the tank to get to that destination. You don't want the car to stall. You don't want the electric car to run out of juice, or the fuel cells to just fly off the bottom of the car. You need gas in the tank. If you don't have gas in the tank and you're riding to Vegas, well, then you're not going to have, the best Vegas experience. It's like the movie Swingers, Vegas, baby! And then, 3 hours later, Vegas, baby, Vegas. But at least they got there. They've completely petered out. And they never had momentum to begin with anyway. I mean, this man has been like, he's called Arizona a city. He said he's running for Senate twice. I mean, did they not know that Botox B is like, do they not know this? They just think, they think that Trump is so horrible, they just put up anyone. Weekend at Bublinsky's. At Bubala's. I don't get it. I don't understand. But, it's just, November 3rd is going to be retribution. Retribution. Oh, my God. Retribution. Hashtag you lost twice. And don't even engage. Mitchell Smith. Hello, HA. As much evidence and facts the public knows, almost any of us, one of us, oh, yeah, could prosecute. Oh, of course. Mitchell Smith. Thank you so very much, Mitchell. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that William Barr has to, within the first 3 or 4 months, do something. Because you can't, the temper tantrum needs to be irrelevant. You can't allow Mitchell and everybody here, you can't allow the temper tantrum and the indignation. They're indignant. Their indignation is irrelevant to the future of the country, and it's irrelevant to this election. Or it will be irrelevant to... It was very relevant for 4 years, unfortunately. And you had the Justice Department giving credibility and legitimacy to a temper tantrum and to indignation. You can't be indignant that you lost an election. You need to understand why you lost and accept and take the L. If Madam Secretary doesn't swoop in the next couple of days, I'll take the loss. I'll say, hey, I was wrong, and here's why. And I'm looking forward to, if it doesn't happen, to explaining. But I'm going to take the victory also and the win when we go 8 years. Because the country is not longing for an exhumed body. This has never been the case. No one has ever said, what we need in this country is a leader who looks like he just, pulled himself out of the grave. Yes, we need this type. Have you seen Michael Jackson's Thriller? We need leaders like the zombies that start dancing and, The Democrats found a man who looks like he pulled himself out of the grave. He looks, and it's not like how to stop a zombie apocalypse. And see, this is the way Democrats work. Like, let's say it was like hashtag zombie, like hashtag zombie candidate 2020. Then they would make sure you couldn't say zombie. And then they would be part of every algorithm. You can't say zombie. It's the Russians, it's a zombie. Then you'd have to say ghoul or specter or whatever. Undead, whatever. Then you would say that and it would become popular. Then no, the supremacists want that. And then you would say, and then you'd have to find 20 different. That's why when I speak like in this long-winded, verbose manner, because there's so many things I can't say. So I try to go around. That's why I say Vice President's son, a Botox, be the exhumed body. You say it too much, it's like Beetlejuice. The algorithm is like always omnipresent. So, but luckily zombie is not a banned word yet. So the man pulled himself out of the grave. He like resurrected himself almost. Not in terms of a political career, almost like literally, physically. He doesn't answer questions. He's all over the place. It has nothing to do with the stutter. Nothing. Bread. Wait until 130% of the population is cheating will be undeniable. I know. I agree with you, Brad. It's going to be difficult, though, because President Trump's going to win, I think, these states by 100,000 votes. So I don't think it's going to be close, because the Libertarian Party, nobody knows who their nominee is. So Gary Johnson, he was polling at 4 to 5%. Brad, thank you. Ebenezer, they must run one person. That's okay. They must run the person that's the greatest threat of bringing them all down, and they can claim political prosecution of investigations. That could be the case too if investigated, even after election. But you know what? Even that they claim political persecution. It shouldn't matter because Trump was persecuted. So I agree with you, Ebenezer. That could be one of the reasons. I'm not sure. And it's like trying to understand what Democrats are doing is just it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Ebenezer, thank you. Anthony must be trying to lose. Sticking with Harris Crip ticket, exactly. I have Trump 306, 329 New Yorker flip. I expect more cheat trickery from Democratic vipers. I think that Anthony. I think that Nevada. I'm not so sure, Anthony, about New York, but I don't think New York will flip, but I think Nevada will, Anthony. I think Minnesota. Anthony, I think Michigan. Wisconsin, I think, has a better chance than Pennsylvania, but I can see Pennsylvania going. So, I mean, he'll win states like Nevada. He'll win states like Minnesota. It could be the same. Look, if he wins this by the same amount, everyone, Anthony here, everybody here, if he wins by the same amount as last election, it's all good. Then I want them. I actually want them. I want them to try to abolish the Electoral College. The country does not want this, but I want them to actually try to do that. That would actually be fantastic. Ranger Partners, thank you. I love Liberal Hive Mind. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I have a lot of... I love Liberal Hive Mind. Ranger Partners, thank you for the compliment. Thank you. The victory needs to be decisive. It will be decisive. It will be decisive. And you better believe that Trump is going to count every single vote. Every single vote. Personally. Every single vote personally. When the votes start trickling in. Oh, gee. Ladies and gentlemen, be here at 9 p.m. tonight, everybody. We had a fantastic, fantastic live stream today. Thank you. Tell your friends also, please subscribe to this channel. Joey, hello. Tell your friends to subscribe to H.A. Goodman, H.A. Goodman's other channel. And Sam, hello. BRX95, hello. Please be here at 9 p.m., everybody. God bless you all. Thank you so very, very much. LM Shaw 68. Cast my ballot today and looking forward to spending election night celebrating here with HA next week. Just like in 2016. LM Shaw 68. Thank you so very, very much. And my goodness, thank you for being here for 4 years. And please be here on November 3rd. I know you will, and that's fantastic. Thank you for watching for so long. It's going to be fantastic. It'll be a euphoric, amazing moment. Because, like I said, America has never longed for a zombie to be president. That never happened. LM Shaw 68, thank you so very, very much. Everyone, thank you. God bless. I'll see you at 9 p.m. tonight, everybody. Be here at 9 p.m.